Tim Baldry and Alan Smith discovered Mimas after she'd been sitting derelict in a barn for 10 years.
We'd known about the boat for some while. About 10 years or so ago, I first saw her at a farm 4 miles down the road.
Mimas had some storm damage in '87, so there's things bent up top and there's things bent down below.
The boat was rescued through exchange and mart as an insurance claim by a local farmer.
One of the young ladies I work with rides a horse. She keeps her horse at his farm. I said, has he still got Mimas? She said, yes. I said, can you arrange for us to go and have a look at it? We'd be interested in buying it.
So they decided to pool their resources and make the farmer an offer he couldn't refuse.
We've shared boats and other bits and pieces over the years, and we've got another boat at the moment, so we go straight down the middle with everything.
And 6 months down the line, they now own a 26-foot fiberglass cruising yacht that's full of straw and cow dung. But that's the challenge these two budding amateurs relish. And Tim and Alan, who are brothers-in-law, are fully committed to restoring Mimas to her former glory.
We know what we want to achieve, and I hope we're not going to set silly targets. I'm sure we won't. We'll do it as best we can do it in the time available.
And not leaving anything to chance, this is a project that they've prepared, budgeted and scheduled to the nth degree.
It's a challenge, and you rise to it, you solve the problem, and you move on to the next section.
And this particular challenge has led them all over the country and abroad to find the parts to put Mimas back together again.
This is what we're aiming to get to.
We've even got the original covers.
That's great.
As to match the brochure.
It seems the only thing that stands in their way is whether or not they can work as a team.
Tim, I'll blame Tim. Tim's got his idea, I've got my idea. Then we go away in a huff and then come back together again and sort of one side will yield.
We sort of talk about things, and if I've got a problem with the way Alan's going to do it, I'll say, well, maybe we ought to do it this way. And we will have a little argument about it, but ultimately we do get the right solution.
I'm learning things about Tim still. I've known him 40 odd years and we're still friends.
I decided to visit Tim and Alan just before they were about to begin the renovation process. Well, there I am, all these years at sea, and I'm following a white van down an A road in Norfolk, under the big windy Norfolk sky, heading for a barn where I'm going to find a boat. The world's full of dodgy boats in beaten up barns, and I expect half of them are in Norfolk. Goodness knows what we're going to find, but you never know. Well, here we are.
I'm pleased to meet you. I'm Tim.
Hi, Tim.
And Alan's on his way.
Here he comes. Alan, good to see you. Well, I'm dying to see her. Any chance of getting a look then?
Absolutely. We've got the keys. We'll go now.
Great.
Well.
What do you think, Tom?
Well, looks like she got her nose knocked off in the gale, did she?
She did, yeah. The
Yeah.
1987 gale, or hurricane that Mr. Fish said didn't arrived.
Yeah, looking at her now, I mean, she does look like a pretty massive project. She's a big boat and there's a heck of a lot to do. What skills do you guys actually have?
Networking, good range of contacts. I like to facilitate, enable and bring people together and get the job done.
What about you, Alan?
I was brought up in a garage and scrapyard, so to speak. So through my childhood, I grew up with engines and go-karts and motorbikes and all sorts of things. So I've tackled everything from 2-stroke, 4-stroke, single cylinders, V8s, and rebuilt those sort of things and restored cars and motorbikes.
OK, well then, let's have a look at it. Lead me through it, boys. Show me what the truth really is.
Here we go.
Tim and Alan bought the boat for £5,000 and inherited a load of spare parts from the insurance claim. A brand new Etap would set you back €54,000. That's roughly £36,500. They plan to spend $10,000 on the renovation, and the hull is their first port of call.
Well, with hull damage, I say a surveyor has had a look and sort of given her the OK. So the hull damage now to us is repairing the paintwork.
Anybody not familiar with fiberglass construction probably doesn't realise quite how it works, but what we're seeing here, which of course looks a lovely smooth finish, is in fact just part of the construction. Inside there there's all sorts of layers of glass matting impregnated with resin, which then goes good and hard, and it forms an amazingly strong compound. But this outside skin here, which is smooth, is called the gel coat. And if this gets damaged, it needs to be repaired straight away, otherwise we can have water penetration.
The gel coat is a polyester resin that hardens to a smooth, durable finish that forms the outer surface of a fiberglass hull. Tim and Alan will need to check this to make sure it hasn't been damaged.
We had intended to get a boatyard involved, but we've since taken some advice from a relative of mine who's in the boatyard business, and he's got a gel coat guy who reckons that he can put all this right. She doesn't need a respray. Most of the work lifting her up to replace the keel we can do, really, and it saves us money. When you talk about boatyards, and with the greatest respect, you talk about zeros.
So is this a standard GRP construction then? GRP is fiberglass, glass reinforced plastic, of course. Is this a standard?
It is on the outside, but she is rather unique. She's guaranteed by the French marine industry as unsinkable.
Unsinkable?
She will sail full of water, apparently. She will sail whole.
One of the features of an Etap yacht is the ship-in-a-ship construction. The deck and hull are double-skinned and the space between them is filled with polyurethane foam. This gives the boat sufficient buoyancy to float, even if she's full of water.
There is obviously the gel coat, the chopped glass fibre matting, and inside that is high density, I think it's polystyrene.
Wait a minute, Tim. Is there any way you can actually show me this?
Of course, understanding how it works is another thing altogether.
Okay.
So it's like a sandwich.
Absolutely right.
Two hard layers on the outside and the foam.
And the foam filling inside.
And the foam, if the hull is punctured, even with a hole like that, which of course would sink a boat in short order, the water will go into the hull, but it won't go far into this foam.
It won't go very far into the foam.
And there's enough buoyancy, there'll be more than enough buoyancy to keep the boat afloat. Well, it's an interesting idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's the old joke, somebody says something's unsinkable and they all say, well, so was the Titanic, but actually...
We've got a certificate. We hope Etap are going to give us a certificate.
Got to be right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Safe in the knowledge that they've bought an unsinkable boat, Tim and Alan's next job will be to repair the keel.
But what about the keel, guys? What's the story? I mean, the keel looks like a heap of rust, really.
It's been a concern to us from the outset of what to do with the keel. We've got to take it out. It's sound, it's just surface rust.
Yeah.
So we do need to take it back to base metal and get some primer on it.
The other option would be to have a completely new keel made, but this would depend on the project budget.
What about the rudder? Where's the rudder?
Well, the rudder is in bits again. That's all part of the theme of this boat, as you can tell. We have got a problem with this.
The rudder has completely come apart, and if Tim and Alan want to repair this themselves, they'll need to make sure it's secured with fiberglass and then epoxy resin.
Yeah, and I don't think... Particularly, this is called a spade rudder, because that's the shaft of the spade, the shaft that holds it, and this is the bit that you stick in the ground. This, if you imagine, is under the hull. There's a shaft coming out here, and as this turns, the force on this is massive. The force trying to break it off is huge, so that shaft has got to be very strong indeed, and the attachment in here, it really does have to be bomb-proof.
Yeah.
The history of Mimas is patchy, and one of Tim and Alan's tasks over the coming weeks is to find out who originally commissioned the yacht.
The name's interesting. I mean, obviously you'll have to replace that, but that won't be bad. But you'll keep the name, will you?
We'd like to keep the name. On researching it, Mimas is I think it's the 9th moon of Saturn, and it translates to Death Star. But what would really be nice is to research it to find out who ordered her, when she was built, where she went, what she did, and in fact why Mimas was chosen as the name.
OK, well, we've got a hull that, with a bit of luck, is not going to be nearly as bad as it looks. We've got a keel that we have a policy for. We've got a rudder that's at the moment in 3 pieces, but looks as if we can get it back into 1 piece. And we've got a hole in the bottom where the engine comes through, and that's sorted.
Yeah.
Well, we're making progress, aren't we? Shall we have a look on deck and down below?
Yeah, we'll drag her into the daylight for you, and you can give you a pronouncement on that part.
There you go, she's in the light now.
She doesn't look so huge out here, does she? Totally different perspective, isn't it? But quite big enough to sail the Holland in. Yeah, well, it's the old story, isn't it? It looks like a load of rubbish, but actually, the closer you look, it's all here, isn't it? The kit is all here.
Yeah.
Although Mimas has been sitting in a barn for 10 years, the interior is basically just a clean-up job.
Like all these things, you think, oh, well, it'd be nice if it was perfect and all this was done and we had the cushions and the nice floorboards and everything was perfect all at once. Well, that's a boatyard job. Walk away from it and pay them huge money, isn't it? You've got all the bits and pieces and you've got the commitment, but there's so much work to do on the outside. I think you're going to find that these jobs take you longer than you think. Do what you can now to get her afloat.
If they can get Mimas back on the water before the end of summer, then that will be a tremendous achievement in itself.
You're going to find the really important things are going to take perhaps a bit longer than you think. Prove me wrong.
What a challenge.
Prove me wrong, and I'll be the happiest man alive. Driving down here this morning in a car across those fields, I really did entertain serious doubt about this project. I said at the time, I had concerns that the boat herself might not be worth it, that the guys might have bitten off far more than they could ever chew, and that the whole thing was going to founder in the dust in this farmyard. Actually, the boat is well worth it. The guys are amazingly well organised. They're full of enthusiasm for getting the job done, but they're going to need real faith, they're going to need courage, they're going to need to get on with each other because they're going to get niggled. Otherwise, well, you start thinking it's all about hay bales and dust and farmyards instead of the salt sea and the tides flowing.
To make this project work, Tim and Alan have to concentrate on the structural elements and the working components of the boat.
I was quietly smug, I think, when Tom was here. I think I've ripped that up and thrown it in the bin.
They'll also need to understand her construction, a journey that will take them across the sea to Antwerp in Belgium, where Etaps are made.
I personally would like to know how they put together, how the thing comes together.
Then they'll have to decide how to repair the gel coat, restore the engine and fix the keel. And all the time, working as a team.
We've had 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, most days.
I'm not so despondent as Alan, I hope.